Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello and welcome in, friends, to another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. It is Thursday, November 19, 2000, which means it is time for confidence picks here on Sports from the Couch for Week 11 in the NFL. But before we get to our picks and to talk some fun, we got to take care of some housekeeping notes. Make sure you guys are following us all over social media. I'm on Twitter at MikeMedia. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. Be interactive with the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and shares wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. You become a producer of the show. Get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities. We have prize contests and so much more at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Come play videos on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. And of course, if you would like to keep up to date with everything we're doing on the network, from our pop culture show, from our true crime show, from our show about the missing that don't get spotlighted through the media, and of course, our interviews with very interesting guests, follow us on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. With all that out of the way, friends, let's get right into it. It is Week 11 in the NFL, and if you are new to us first here on Sports from the Couch, normally we're doing a camera thing and we're interactive, but we are changing the studio a little bit, and we're kind of changing formats a little bit on how we're doing our confidence picks for Week 11. We already make them. We used to make them live on the air and then rake them, but I felt this was a little bit of a cleaner way to do it. I already make my picks. I tell you the confidence I've put on them, and we're able just to kind of go matchup by matchup. So with that, we go and we start off with Week 11, and I put 14 confidence points on Pittsburgh over Jacksonville. This is easy matchup. Pittsburgh's obviously the better team. Pittsburgh has legit hopes of trying to win a Super Bowl. The real question is this a trap game? Is this a game that really slips through their fingers? They are still undefeated. They've had a lot of close calls. We'll see what happens with Pittsburgh. It all comes down to, as long as Big Ben stays healthy, they are going to win a lot of games. They have a lot of offensive power. They have a really good defense. You got to just give it to Pittsburgh. And right now, they seem like the most complete team. That doesn't mean they're going to win the Super Bowl. But right now, as of Week 11, they seem like probably the most complete team, even though Kansas City has the best player in football. So I'll still go, obviously, with Pittsburgh over Jacksonville. 14 confidence points on that one. We go to New Orleans versus Atlanta. I put 13 confidence points in that matchup. Atlanta, obviously, is a team that shouldn't be as bad with their record says they are. But at the end of the day, New Orleans is a team that legitimately will try to make a playoff push. They have those type of aspirations. They do not have Drew Brees. It's going to be a Jameis Winston game. You don't have Teddy Bridgewater. And we saw that Jameis came in the game. It's going to be an interesting thing. Here's how I look about this matchup. Jameis Winston can still be a professional starting quarterback in the NFL. And he landed in a place where this is the best case scenario with the way that offense is put together, that team is ran, and then being behind Drew Brees. I kind of give them the benefit of them bringing him in. Now, why Atlanta can't win this one? I mean, they've already gone through the full sales of burning it down. You know, when it comes to the organization, they were trying to sell Matt Ryan. Julio Jones is always just a little bit away from getting hurt or getting traded, also snapping and having a great game. We'll see what happens with Calvin Ridley. But I trust Sean Payton to get the best out of Jameis. Now, 13 seems like a lot, and of course, this is all subject to change as of Sunday, or in some cases, Thursday of Thursday Night Football. But right now, 13 confidence points on the Saints winning at home against Atlanta. I have 12 confidence points on Baltimore over Tennessee. This one I know it's going to be hard to justify, especially if you were listening to me last week. I had them in Survivor. I put the most fantasy points when it came to confidence points on Baltimore against New England, and Bill Belichick once again broke my heart. This time around, Mike Vrabel, can he, a disciple or at least a little bit part of that Bill Belichick tree, can he get the best out of Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill and Corey Davis, A.J. Brown out of that defense, which is not very good? They just look really good against the Bears. We'll find out. Baltimore needs to have a really big game. At some point, I need something from Lamar Jackson. I'm no expert. I'm not this analytic genius. I'm not this pundit on ESPN. I just go by what my eyes see and what the little dum-dum in me has to my disposal, right? And fantasy football, PPR. I'm struggling right now. 3-7. Your boy is in 11th out of 12th place, right? And Lamar Jackson was my keeper. And people are asking me, like, how do you have Lamar Jackson and you had Christian McCaffrey last year, and this year you can't do anything with them? Well, obviously, CMC being hurt, can't do anything about that. Lamar Jackson hasn't had one of those games that, let's say, somebody like a Justin Herbert has had, a Patrick Mahomes has had, a Tom Brady has had, where they're putting up 40, 50 fantasy football points, which means they're putting up 3, 4, 5 touchdowns. An Aaron Rodgers game this season. And that is the difference with Baltimore this year. You just haven't seen them click offensively. Could it be that they need a new voice? I don't know. I like Harbaugh. But I'm interested to see how this finishes off for Baltimore. I think they get right and win this one. I put 12 confidence points in this game. Again, subject to change. Tennessee is a good team. I think Tennessee is a little bit, they're kind of like the Bear syndrome. They're a little bit better than Chicago, but I don't know how much better than Chicago. They're probably a Derrick Henry better than Chicago, but we'll go ahead right now. We'll put Baltimore in that win. We have the Chiefs versus the Raiders. I have 11 confidence points on the Kansas City Chiefs winning this matchup. Look, it's a divisional matchup. We know how we feel about these games. It's hard to really put your finger on the pulse on how this is going to work out, if it's going to be a high-scoring game, if it's going to be in the mud. It's in Vegas, so we know weather shouldn't play any part of this. But Corona will. And we know that Vegas is going to have a lot of interesting things go on leading up. It's a game they have who's going to play and who's not going to play. And at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes plays for Kansas City. So it's going to be really hard for me to ever not pick KC. Whether I put all the points on them or not, it's a different story. But for this week, I'm going with Kansas City with the win in Vegas, and I'm putting 11 confidence points in that matchup. I have the Vikings beating Dallas with 10 confidence points put in this game. Again, Minnesota got kind of right against Chicago. They had no business getting right against Chicago. That was one of the most poor performances I've ever seen. One of the most boring games I've ever seen of football. And they got me tongue twisted. It couldn't come. And this is the thing that sucks the most, right? Everybody knows coming off a bye week, you should be a little bit better. You know for a fact they're going to have an offsides, they're going to have a delay of game, and they're going to look horrible on Sunday Night Football against Green Bay. And it's an embarrassing performance on national television. And Minnesota got right. And then they get Dallas. So Minnesota has found their way to get into this division race again. Now, the Green Bay Packers are going to run away with it. They're going to secure it with probably 12 wins, 13 wins, somewhere around there. But Minnesota is going to be right there. And with that expanded playoffs, who knows? And when you have somebody like Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen, and you have that kid Jefferson, like anything is possible on any given day. If Kirk Cousins just makes one play, it all changes. That defense isn't very good, but they look good against Nick Foles. With that, I put 10 confidence points on the Vikings over the Cowboys. I have 9 points on the Packers beating the Colts in Indianapolis. So here's the real question about this matchup. We know how good the Packers are offensively. Now, it would be something that Devontae Adams is out of the game if he misses. We saw what happens with Scantley, and they don't have Lazard, so it could be interesting to see how it works out. But the real question is this a good defense? They're going to look good against Indianapolis. I can tell you that much, because Philip Rivers hasn't looked that good. Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good game. The real question is, can this Colts defense keep this old gunslinger of Philip Rivers in this game enough to win it? These teams are really much similar, I think. I think obviously the Colts defense is much better, but the fact remains is this one, I should even say the Colts are a lot like the Bears. We're really like the Bears. It really comes down to, can the quarterback make plays? It's one thing to lead. It's one thing to kind of have the confidence of people, but I'm talking about not making the mistake. And you're relying on them because these are the veterans. And that's where Philip Rivers isn't throwing it down the field. So it's going to take an entire team effort to beat Green Bay, even if Green Bay's defense isn't that good, because Aaron Rodgers is going to make it a nightmare for you. And even if you, quote, keep them in check, what really is check when you're going against Aaron Rodgers? So I have the Packers with 9 confidence points put on that game. Packers over the Colts. I have 8 confidence points on the Chargers over the Jets. This one I would have higher for the Chargers, simply if it wasn't for, are the Jets really going to go 0-16? At some point, they're going to win a game, right? Like, are they as bad as what the 06 Lions? I don't know. Are they as bad as that Cleveland team a few years ago? I don't know. I shouldn't be surprised if they go 0-16. But this is still a pro team. The reason I'm going with the Chargers and I'm putting 8 confidence points in them, obviously you got to like Justin Herbert. You got to assume Keenan Allen's going to have a good game. More than anything, it's in LA. So I don't think the Joe Flacco and his Jets are going to travel and have that much of a chance. Steve Jamison Crowder could put up some points, though, but I have the Chargers over the Jets. I have 7 confidence points on Cleveland over Philadelphia. I'm not totally sold on Cleveland, but I guess this is more of a thing of how it's Philadelphia. Carson Wentz, is the experiment over? I mean, we'll take a try with him over here in Chicago, I'll tell you that much. But I guess it's a Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt game, right? I mean, no Beckham. I like Jarvis Landry, but I feel like this is just one of those games where they're going to give it to Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt's going to be the lead receiver, and Baker Mayfield will have like 190 passing yards, but 3 touchdowns, and all of them are to Nick Chubb and to Kareem Hunt. So I'll go with Cleveland over Philadelphia, and I put 7 confidence points in that one. On Thursday Night Football, the heavyweight matchup, Arizona versus Seattle. Arizona coming off of that big win against Buffalo. We'll see how Seattle responds. I have the Cardinals with the upset in Seattle. Simply a momentum thing. Arizona starting to look a little bit like the Seattle team. If their defense can hold up, with DeAndre Hopkins being one of the best wide receivers in football, if not the best wide receiver in football. Tyler Lockett a bit banged up, but they still have DK Metcalf. They don't have any running backs right now, right? Like Chris Carson, I don't know who's playing. I don't know if Dallas is playing. It's a really messed up situation over there, but you still have Russell Wilson. If he cooks, they have a chance. But I'm going with Arizona. I like making a few upset picks. I like putting a couple points on them to try to win in the week. That is the confidence pool. And I think they have a really good chance for being a quote-unquote underdog. And I have Kyler Murray. I put some money on Kyler Murray being the MVP. And this is a game that can showcase that on Thursday Night Football. Why not? I'll go with Arizona over Seattle. Tua Tagovailoa and his Miami Dolphins over the Denver Broncos. I put 5 confidence points in that matchup. It is in Denver. I'm going to go with the momentum. I think Tua is a pro quarterback. Will they let him kind of throw the ball more? Will they open up the playbook more? It'll be interesting to see. I would like them a little bit more if they had their full running back crew back together. But just because of momentum, I think I'll go Miami. Denver's real interesting is Vic Fangio, obviously a really great defensive guru. Can they put the rookie in check? The rookie's going to have a bad game eventually. So again, all my picks are subject to change. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter at Mike M Media and the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk in case we change the picks, and you'll know by Sunday. With 4 confidence picks, I have the New England Patriots beating the Houston Texans. Now, normally I would go with the Texans in this game, even if I thought the Texans were a little bit better. All things being considered, after seeing what Bill Belichick did and the game plan he had against Lamar Jackson, I have to imagine that he has this team sort of in a right place. And the Houston Texans are a complete mess. So I think Houston has a chance to win this game. I do think that people are overlooking them because you still have Deshaun Watson and he can break a game plan that you have against him. I just haven't seen it this season because that whole team is a mess and nothing of their fault. Bill O'Brien, thank God he's gone. So I got New England, I got Bill Belichick, I got Cam Newton winning this game. 4 confidence points in this matchup. It's going to be a fun one, though. Very intriguing matchup to see how this one plays out. I have 3 confidence points on the Rams over Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football. That's going to be a fun matchup. Now, this one, it's Tom Brady, Jared Goff. Who do you trust more to win a big game? Because they both have all the weapons you can ask for on offense. So it's not going to be a question of who's has the best chance, who has the best weapons, any of these weird X factors. No. It's going to be simply which quarterback puts his team in the best position. I guess you could say this about every team in the NFL. And it's very cliche. But it's a true matchup that the quarterback doesn't need to make any spectacular play. He doesn't need to do anything above and beyond what he normally does. He needs to get the ball to his playmakers. And the question is, do you trust Jared Goff against the Tampa Bay defense or Tom Brady against the Rams defense? Now, I'm picking the Rams because I like Aaron Donald, and they're going to have to game plan for him just as much as you do for anybody on offense. And what do we know about Tom Brady? The one thing we know about him, he hates pressure in his face. He hates when people breaks his pocket. That's why the Giants have Super Bowls over him. So I'm going to go with the Rams over Tampa Bay, and this means a lot for the conference. So it's going to be a fun matchup on Monday Night Football. We have, with 2 confidence points, the Washington football team beating Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is going to be a star. They got to put people around him. They have to put an offensive line around them. Look around with all the other rookies. You have to protect your quarterback. He is too important, especially if he is the goods. And I think Washington isn't that great of a team. I mean, we saw what happened with them against the Giants, and it is a trend that Washington should be better. And I like their coaching staff. Everybody likes Chico. So I'm going to go with Washington in this game. Simply because I like their defense more, and I don't think Joe Burrow can make just all magic out of a sudden and make his team all that great. But he does have weapons, obviously. But we'll see the offensive line if they can keep him upright. So with that, I'm going to go with Washington over Cincinnati with 2 confidence points. And finally, with 1 confidence points, really in a pick-em, the Detroit Lions and the Carolina Panthers. I have 1 confidence points on Detroit. I mean, who knows with this matchup? You don't have CMC, obviously, in Carolina, and they've had their ups and downs. We'll see what happens with Teddy Bridgewater. We'll see what happens with Mike Davis. I want to see what happens with Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore. There's names, obviously, in Carolina, but they haven't played fully to their potential, I believe. And then with Detroit, it's a Detroit thing. And you not having Kenny Galladay is huge. But I think Matthew Stafford finds a way to pull this one out. I don't think Carolina's all that good. So I'll go with the Lions with 1 confidence points. And with that, friends, that is it. Those are our picks for Week 11 in the NFL. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think wins and why? How is your team doing this season? How about in fantasy? Are you still alive? How about in survivor pools? What about your confidence picks? I want to know all this on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and of course the show is on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Make sure you guys are following us, liking us, rating, reviewing us, wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. You can also like, rate, review, and share us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. So many cool things over there. You guys check it out. Get our interviews ad-free before anybody else. Win prizes, enter contests. So much cool stuff at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. It's the holiday season. Give the goods to the people you love at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. And of course, if you want to keep up to date with everything on the network, with all the podcasts that we are doing, follow us on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Thank you so much. Enjoy all the games. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.